When Walter Boyd died, his son found $630,000 in the savings account. He found it in a house with the heat turned down to 55 degrees because Walter had always said 68 was a waste. He found it beside a closet with a single winter coat in it, the same brown coat Walter had worn for 22 years. He found it in a kitchen where the calendar was still turned to a month 3 years back, in a house where, if he was being honest with himself, he had stopped feeling welcome a very long time ago. $630,000, and a father he barely knew. Walter didn't lose his money. Walter did the exact opposite. He guarded every single dollar of it like his life depended on it. And it cost him his life anyway, just not in the way you'd think. And here's what should stop you cold. The exact instinct that quietly emptied Walter's life of everything that ever mattered, it's running inside you right now. You just call it being responsible. So let me take you back to the winter that built Walter Boyd. The winter that taught a 12-year-old boy a lesson that would quietly run the next 56 years of his life. It's January 1978, Homestead, Pennsylvania, a steel town on the Monongahela River, where the sky glows orange at night from the mills, and every father Walter knows works the same furnaces his father does. And then, one gray morning, they don't. Walter is 12 years old, sitting at the top of the stairs in his socks, when he watches his father, a huge man, a proud man, a man Walter had believed was made of iron, come through the front door in the middle of a Tuesday, when he was never home on a Tuesday. He watches his father sit down at the kitchen table without taking his coat off, and he watches him put his face in his enormous hands and not move for a very long time. The mill had cut the shift, then it cut the men. Within a year, the bank took the house. Walter remembers the exact sound of the moving truck. He remembers his mother crying in a way that scared him more than shouting ever could. And he remembers standing on the sidewalk in the cold with everything they owned in boxes, making a promise to himself. A 12-year-old's promise, the kind that never lets go. I am never going to be that powerless. I am never going to let go of a single dollar, ever. Walter kept that promise. God, did he keep it. And it destroyed him. For a while, and this is the part that makes it so dangerous, it looked like wisdom. Walter grew up careful. He got a steady job at a tool and die shop, and he never once missed a day. He saved with a discipline that bordered on holy. While the other guys spent their Friday checks at the bar, Walter drove home. He clipped coupons, he fixed what broke instead of replacing it. He put money away every week without fail for 40 years. He married a kind, patient woman named Ellen, and they had 2 kids, a boy and a girl. And on paper, Walter was doing everything right. He was the responsible one, the one who'd never end up on that sidewalk, the one who would never watch a bank take his house. Everyone said it. Walter's got his head on straight. Walter's careful. And they meant it as a compliment. But somewhere in those 40 years, quietly, without a single day you could point to, the discipline stopped being discipline, and it became a cage. Because here's what fear does when you feed it for 40 years. It stops protecting your life and starts eating it. Walter couldn't spend money. Not couldn't afford, couldn't. Every dollar that left his hand felt like that 12-year-old on the sidewalk. So when Ellen asked, gently, if maybe they could take the kids to the ocean one summer, just once, Walter did the math out loud at the kitchen table until she stopped asking. When his son made the district finals, Walter worked the overtime shift instead of going, because a day off was a day unpaid, and unpaid felt like danger. He told himself he was doing it for them. He was building them a future. He'd tell them that for years.
Everything I do for this family.
Everything I do for this family. But his daughter would later say the thing that hurt the most wasn't the cold house, or the no vacations, or the coat he wore for 2 decades. It was that her father treated every small joy, a birthday dinner out, a Christmas that cost a little too much, like a threat. Like the family itself was something that might bankrupt him if he let it. Ellen didn't leave with a fight. People rarely do. She just got quieter, year after year, until one day the quiet was all that was left. The kids grew up and moved away and called less and less, not out of anger, out of the simple fact that there was never much warmth in that house to come back to. Walter had guarded everything so tightly that, one by one, everyone he loved slipped through his fingers anyway. And now, here's the part Walter never saw coming, the part that makes the whole thing almost unbearable. While Walter was guarding his money like a dragon, terrified to risk a single dollar, terrified to put it anywhere it might lose value, it was losing value anyway. Because Walter kept nearly all of it in cash and a plain savings account. Where it's safe, he'd say. But safe was the one thing it wasn't. The $200,000 he'd so carefully saved by 1990 could buy less than half as much by the time he died. Quietly, invisibly, year after year, inflation ate his fortune from the inside. Not with a crash, not with a headline, just a slow, silent erosion that a man who refused to understand it never even noticed. So the great irony of Walter Boyd's entire life is this. The thing he sacrificed everything to avoid, losing his money, happened anyway. He just lost it slowly to time instead of quickly to living. He spent 40 years protecting a number while its actual worth bled out beneath him. He won the battle he was fighting and lost the war he didn't know he was in. The last few years, Walter lived alone in that cold house on the hill. The mills were long gone. The town had emptied out. He'd sit in the kitchen in the same brown coat, the thermostat at 55, a bank balance most people would kill for, and a phone that almost never rang. He had everything he'd spent his whole life chasing: the security, the savings, the certainty that he would never, ever end up on that sidewalk again. And he had never been more alone. When it was over, the money passed to 2 grown children who barely knew him, and his son, standing in that freezing, silent house, holding a bank statement with 6 figures on it, would say the truest thing anyone ever said about Walter Boyd. He said, "I would have traded every dollar of it, every single dollar, just to have actually had a dad." Now, here's what I promised you. Here's why this should keep you up tonight. Because it's easy to watch Walter's story and think, that's extreme. I'd never be that afraid of my own money. I know how to enjoy my life. But you're running Walter's exact wiring right now, just quieter. Every time, "what if I need it later," stops you from living today. Every time you put off the trip, the moment, the thing you'd actually remember until you feel more secure, and somehow you never feel secure enough. Every time the fear of losing money makes the decision before you do. Every time you leave money sitting still, doing nothing, because doing something with it feels scary, while inflation quietly does to you exactly what it did to Walter. Walter didn't have a different brain than you. He just had a childhood on a cold sidewalk and 40 years to turn the dial all the way up so you could finally see it clearly. You've got the same dial. Yours is just turned down low enough to call it being responsible. And here's the truth nobody puts in a finance video. There are 2 ways to go broke. You can spend like you'll never get old, or you can hoard like you'll never get to live. Both of them lose the exact same thing in the end, the life the money was supposed to be for. Walter Boyd died rich. He just never once let himself live rich, not for a single day. And the cruelest part of all, the money he was so terrified of losing, he lost it anyway. He simply chose to lose it slowly, to fear, instead of spending it on a single ocean, a single game, a single warm Christmas he could have kept forever. Money was never supposed to be the thing you protect. It was only ever supposed to be the thing that buys you a life. Don't guard the number. Use it to build something you'd actually miss. Because in the end, nobody stands in a cold, silent house holding a bank statement and wishes the number had been bigger. Subscribe, because there are far more of these than you would ever believe, and the next one will hit even closer to home.